And then I began to ring people because I needed to do something. I couldn't stop. So I rang people myself, and many of them decided to come to the home, and it hadn't occurred to me to tell them that Brian was still there, because I assumed that they would know he was still there. And people came and they were very confronted, they told me later, but they felt compelled for me to be there. And Paula had come back, and the children had bathed their dad after he died, and they were sitting with him and they were touching him, and we were touching him and talking to him. And I remember the hospital tray being cleared off from all his medication, and we put wine and biscuits, and a few people would come in and they were at first a bit shocked, and then when they saw us all that it was okay. And a couple of them would say, "No, this is for you, Brian. You'd be happy." He would be happy. He would have been happy with the people coming and just being with us, and him still being part of it. It's a bit of a blur still. It really didn't hit me until after the funeral, I don't think, when I just felt like I had been hit by a truck, and I just sat in a chair for a couple of days and just felt really thoroughly exhaustion was the feeling. I think it took some time for the numbness to go, so that I knew that this was forever. I remember opening the lines of the eulogy that yes, it was a tragic day, the day that Brian died. And it was a tragic 15 months, but there were 42 years before that were pretty good. And so I felt it was important for us all to remember that he was what sort of person he was prior to the illness, what wonderful dad he was. He was the best dad. And they were the things that I wanted the funeral to be part of. I didn't want it to be about how sad it was. I wanted it to be about him.
It was a wonderful funeral, and there were just so many people there, and as part of the Eastern Palliative Care team I went along to that and felt quite comfortable to shed some tears at that funeral, both because it was such a celebration for me and the way the family had just done it so beautifully and supported each other, and just the courage that they had all faced, and to see Janine up there talking with her children was just, again, it was that inspirational aspect of here was a life who has contributed so much and left these people who are able to share that life and will continue to do so forever.
I remember just before he died, I would read the newspaper and I would just look for other people's stories in the death notices, and I would draw strength from other people when I saw died peacefully at home. And I remember thinking, how do you get to that point? And it was really important to me to know that you can get to that point. It's okay for nurses to tell you that you can do it, but to really know that you can do it is a much more difficult thing.
And we did visits with Janine afterwards and gave her an opportunity to again talk through the death process, the funeral, her concerns about the children, just to ease out of their lives, very gently, because we'd been so heavily involved.
Janine was a very inspirational person, both then and even now more recently as I've seen her. She inspires me greatly. There are people that we work in this field, and each one of them are individually fantastic and amazing, but some people just somehow stand out in my memory. And when Janine's name was mentioned about this program, I thought what an appropriate family, because they actually do stand out in my memory too, that it was a very significant time of being involved with that family. And right from the very beginning, both Brian and Janine were very committed to the whole process of making sure things were done both how they wanted it to be, but also equally importantly, as well as it could be for everyone involved. So they were always aware of other people's needs.
There aren't the stories of the families that survive the death of someone. There are wonderful stories about cancer patients who survive, and it can almost make you feel guilty that you've lost someone through cancer, you know, because why couldn't you save them if other people can be saved? And it's almost like it's not talked about, that survival, and that is a survival in itself. It's important to know that there are times when, you know, medicine isn't going to save people, or will. I mean, Brian had more will than most people, I think.
Thank you. It's wonderful. That was beautiful.